Hey guys, it's Takasta here again. Welcome to another video review. So today I'll be reviewing the Logitech G400S gaming mouse. So it's part of a new series of gaming mouse from Logitech following their G100S, G400S, 500S, and the G700S. So personally, I picked up the G400S, 500S, and 700S, and I'm going to be doing a review of all three of these mice. So this is going to be a long ride, I guess, but hope you guys are strapped in, and it's going to be quite exciting. Although these mice are really not that exciting, to be honest, because it just refreshes. So first of all, the G400S. It's built on the same form factor as obviously the MX518, and was refreshed by the Logitech G400 and then again refreshed by Logitech G400S. And to be honest, just some quick notes on why Logitech may have done this. I guess for them, their viewers or their fans really have been using their mice G100, 400, and 500. And to really develop a new shell or a new mouse does cost a lot in terms of research and development. So I guess they are taking good form factors and just refreshing the mice so that they can really make the most out of the shape or the the mouse, I guess. So Razer have done this, SteelSeries have done this with obviously the Sensei, the Xi has been overkilled, the Death Adder has been overkilled. So I guess this is the strategy that Logitech is taking. So first of all, for the price, it's priced at $59 US, but obviously different for different jurisdictions. I'm in Hong Kong, so I picked this up for $3.99 Hong Kong, which is about $49 US, 50 US. But the thing is, we don't have a return policy, so that's why it's slightly cheaper. And at the price, it's slightly more expensive, I guess, than the original G400, because G400 was priced at $49.99, but this is priced at $59.99 to really get that maximum market penetration. Or I mean, making the money at the first part, I guess. So on to the build quality. The overall build quality compared to G400, basically it's the same. The buttons are the same, the sensor, I'll get to the sensor later, which is actually the same as well. Basically, they just refresh the coating, the outer coating of the mouse. If you can see in these pictures, it just seems like they went with a kind of new theme, kind of a new gaming G series theme. And in terms of its surface compared to the old one, it's slightly slippier. Is that a word? Oh, I don't know. Anyways, it's slightly more slightly more slippery, Jesus. Slightly more slippery because the old G400, if you remember, it was quite a matte kind of touch to it. This one's much more, slightly smoother, slightly more glossier, but it's not glossy in that sense, but it's quite nice grip. I quite like it. In terms of its side, it uses a matte finish again, but it's not that grippy. It's slightly slippery, however, I quite like it. I guess it's just still very, very nice in terms of build quality. In terms of its cord, they use the same cord again as the G400. It's not braided, it's not extremely tough. It seems slightly cheap, I guess. It does seem tangle free, so I guess that's good. In fact, every single cord on the G500S, 700S, and the 400S use different cords, so I don't know why they did that, but I guess that's just how it is. So moving on to the sensor. The sensor, the G400S does employ the S3095, sorry. So the 3095 is slightly different to the 3090. I guess it's because Logitech is a big company, so Avgo, obviously, they supplied Logitech with their own specialized sensors. So the 3095 is basically based on the same architecture as the 3090, but it's obviously specialized for Logitech. And this isn't really an upgrade over the G400, because the G400 was refreshed once, and it did refresh with the 3095, sorry. And in terms of the sensor, I guess it is one of the best sensors out there. So to employ the same sensor in the G400S, I can't really complain about it. So if you can see in these test videos, obviously the mouse is also increased to 4000 DPI. So maybe, I don't think this is probably a native 4000 DPI reading, but however, it's probably interpolated to 4000 just so that it's slightly different to the G400. If you can see in these test videos, it's actually quite good at all the polling rates, 125, 200, 250, 500, and 1000, and at all the DPI ratings, actually quite good. Even at the highest DPI, I tested it at 4000 DPI at 500 Hz or 1000 Hz. There is a little bit of jitter, however, it's not that big of a deal, and you can barely feel it. Unless you actually draw lines in paint, you can really barely feel it during gaming or doing whatnot, because I did a lot of tests on Quick Live and Dota and LOL, and it's all you can't really feel it. So in terms of its speed tests, they do top out at 3 meters per second, 4 meters per second. So definitely there's no problems there, and you guys can be sure that it won't malfunction. I mean, at high speeds, unless you somehow like throw your arm at like 5 meters per second or some crap like that. Anyways, so onto the prediction. There is no angle snapping per se, so that's like predictions, which allows you to draw straight lines. They removed this in the earlier version of the G400, and they removed it in the second batch, and now the G400S, it also does not have angle snapping. Compared to the G500S, that has angle snapping, you can turn it on and off. The G400S does not have it. So yeah, that's great. Onto the acceleration. Acceleration, there is barely no acceleration, that as far as I can tell. So that's nothing much about that. With the liftoff distance, it's quite standard. It's not exactly the low liftoff distance of Zoe's in the Zoe FK AM, for etc. But however, it is at about 2.4 millimeters. This is just my own test. Okay, moving on to the buttons and the scroll wheel. So the buttons and the scroll wheel are exactly the same. So like I said, it's not really, it's like a somewhat of a refresh, but it's nothing new from Logitech. In terms of its buttons, it uses the Omron switches, and it rated at 20 million. So that's actually quite good. You can be sure that your switches won't break anytime soon. I think 20 million, even if you play like RTS games or StarCraft or something, and you have like 300 actions per minute, you can probably use this for quite a long time and have no worries about that. In terms of the scroll wheel, it's quite interesting because even for the G400, G400, and G700S, they employed different scroll wheels. In all the refreshes, they employed the same scroll wheels as their predecessors. So in this sense, they do use the scroll wheel to differentiate the mice to some extent. So in terms of the scroll wheel, it's still quite light. It's the same exact scroll wheel as the G400 and the MX518 for that matter. And I quite like it. It's quite light. It's not. It doesn't take too much force to press on it. Has a slight indentation in every single key, I guess. So that's quite nice. So it's really hard. You can check out my scroll wheel / button test later of the G400, and you get a better sense of what I'm talking about. Okay, so moving on to the shape dimensions and its weight. So the G400, it's obviously, if you've used the MX518 400 before, you're quite familiar with this. But in terms of its dimensions, it's 70 centimeters wide by 125 centimeters long by 41 centimeters tall. So it's somewhat of a medium-sized mouse. It's not a small mouse. It's not a large mouse by any means. But for me, because for my hand, it's about 19 centimeters from the base to the tip of my middle finger, it's quite a nice size. I definitely, for RTS like MOBA games like Dota and LoL, it's very, very nice because I claw grip it and I can press buttons fairly quickly. It's very, very comfortable on my hand, and my hand is slightly larger than normal, so if that gives you a good sense of how big my hands are and how comfortable it would be in your hands. Okay, so the next thing is the weight. The weight is 109 grams, so not exactly heavy. In comparison to the G700, with the one I have right here, it is like 150 grams or something. So it's very, very heavy. This is not so heavy. It's somewhere in the range of the Sensei, but obviously heavier than some others like smaller mice like the Kinsey V2, the Abyssus, etc. So it's a good weight. Weight's a very personalized thing, so it's really up to you whether or not you like it or not. But it's not that heavy, obviously it's not that light. It's just in the middle. Okay, moving on to the software. The software is something I'm going to talk about quite a bit. They have a new software suite that you can download from the Logitech website, which gives you software to the G400S, 500S, 700S, and I think the new the 600, I think, uses also the same suite. In terms of the suite, nothing new. This mouse, the G400S, does not use onboard memory, so a lot of people don't really like that. They take it to another computer. They don't have their settings stored, but you don't just get like the default settings. So in the default settings, you do get to choose 5 DPI sensitivity levels, and you can change them using the buttons. So in those terms, that's alright, I guess. And additionally, you can set the DPI by 50 DPI increments, if that kind of makes sense. So you can do 450, 500, 550, 600, but you can change them in 5 different levels. So 5 different levels is definitely enough for anyone. Additionally, if you see some of these pictures right here, they kind of change the software, so it is the same software, but I guess it just looks better. For all the other buttons, you can program them. It is really, really cool software, to be honest, in my opinion. You can program it to program macros, program text functions, program keys. So overall, it's just a very, very well done presentation in my opinion, and they did. It just looks nice. I mean, it's just comfortable. Like using the software, you don't get frustrated using the software. So honestly, that's freaking cool as hell. Anyways, so I guess that's it. In conclusion, do I think this is a worthwhile upgrade of the original G400? Not exactly. Does it look cooler? Kinda. There's a slight blue tint to the the chassis. Some people might like this. I like this over the G400. The G400 was really boring. However, I do find it quite nice. I did buy G400 before, but I sold it a long time ago. So picking this up again, it's really resemblant and reminiscent of the G400, and it's a great sensor. It has a great sensor. It's a great shape, legendary shape. I don't see why they have to change it for any reason. I mean, very, very smart move on their part. Is it worth $59, like another $60? If you have another mouse like a G400, maybe not really. However, if you've never used the G400 or the MX518, I think this is a very, very nice mouse to move to if you need a new mouse to game with. And definitely in terms of this optical sensor and in the optical field of mice, I think is one of the better mice out there. So hope you guys enjoyed that video review. I hope that wasn't too long. I'm going to be moving on to the G400S and the G700S shortly. So thanks again for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe and like my page at iTechTech on Facebook. And if you need mouse for your mice, you can go check out my store at eBay at iTechTech. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Thanks guys, and see you guys later.